Welcome to Lighten Up with Beau. Who's Beau? Me. Welcome to hopefully the last video blog you'll ever need to listen to because I'm gonna make things fun. No, what is Lighten Up with Beau? Who is Beau? Welcome, so glad to have you. Um, Lighten up is really just a sentiment that is easy to say, right? What do you mean lighten up? Who are you to tell me to lighten up, right? Like the minute somebody says lighten up, the exact opposite goes off in the ego. The ego's like, who is he to tell us to lighten up? We'll lighten up when we're ready to. But it's not just a sentiment. It's not something cute just to be like, hey, you know what? Just don't take it all so seriously. Because if you're anything like me, the idea of not taking things seriously and living lighter and being lighter makes sense intellectually, but living lighter, living in what I might call the childlike joy that is our true nature before we get conditioned and wrapped up in all the human nonsense. And yeah, nonsense. Right? The fact that I can't lighten up is because I take so much of the human nonsense as not nonsense. I hold on to it. I clench it. It's mine. These are, All right. Lighten up with Beau. My whole purpose is to share with you my experiences, a little bit of my beliefs and opinions that I hope will help you just live a more joyful, playful, peaceful experience. And that really comes with sharing my truth around the metaphysical spiritual text called A Course in Miracles. Because I believe there are many different paths and many different spiritualities and many different books that pretend to say, manifest your goals in 30 days, come into your highest self in 2 months. For me, the definition of God, spirit, is infinite. It is beyond measure. To me, measurement is a tool that human beings made to feel in control in what is otherwise chaos. I mean, we got here and we were just cavemen walking around, just clubbing everybody. Get over here. We were just we're just chaos. So more and more have we made definitions, rules, laws, concepts, beliefs, ideologies, philosophies to basically seemingly create some semblance of control. Basically, an occurrence happens, we put some words to it, we give it a title, a label, a name, and then we call it fact. We call it reality. Just because an experience happened in the past doesn't mean that that experience actually points to universal truth. It just points to an experience that seemingly happened. But I don't think anybody here would go to sleep at night, have a dream, run around playing cops and robbers, being Superman, having all sorts of sexual experiences, living on other planets, flying around in spacecrafts, and then wake up from your sleep and go, yeah, that was real. That's facts. No, you would just go, oh, that happened, but I wouldn't call it facts. They were just occurrences, insane occurrences. Well, this is what Lighten Up is. Lighten Up is for me to share with you the Course in Miracles, my journey, in hopes that it will help you live a more peaceful, free, joyful, playful existence. That you could turn on the TV or be in the middle of traffic and be in the middle of what would seem to be an awful experience and still feel at peace. To find the calm in the center of the storms. So, first things first, you might be listening to me right now going, what is A Course in Miracles? I don't know anything about A Course in Miracles. And there's one thing I want to say right away. This is not about trying to convince you or debate you. Debate and competition, to me, are armor of the ego. They are armor of evil. They are armor of the devil. I'm just using different terms. I don't believe in a devil. Whatever your terminology is, my experience, and I think God given, thank you, Father, thank you, Divine, thank you, Mother, thank you, Universe, thank you, Spirit, is a gift to take what could otherwise be very challenging to understand and make it understandable. And so this isn't about a religion or a dogma. Quite frankly, what I believe is the truth of the heart, the truth of love is beyond words. It's beyond symbols. It's beyond concepts. I think the minute we as human beings start to speak, the truth is getting more and more distilled. But there can be symbols and things that point to the truth in the heart. Seek ye first the kingdom. The kingdom is within, right? Meaning it's a sensation. It's a essence. It is a state of being. It has nothing to do with outer forms and behaviors and concepts. And it's a place out beyond right and wrong. It's a field where Rumi said, I'll meet you there. And I think what Rumi was speaking to is, I think lightening up and living free in the midst of your life isn't possible when you're living under the laws of right and wrong and good and bad and sin and good and evil. These are dualistic terms that are impossible to escape from when we are attached to them. And sometimes I think we don't know how to be honest with how attached we are to them, how we use them as comfort blankets, and we wrap ourselves in the prison of our own safe beliefs, beliefs that were given us, beliefs that we've never questioned, beliefs that we took on and just have been carrying them around, unwilling to question, unwilling to release them. So what is A Course in Miracles? A Course in Miracles is a book that came about in the 60s. There was a Jewish woman by the name of Helen Schucman, living in New York City, working in the field of psychiatry, psychology, the field of the mind, let's call it. And she had a colleague named Beau Thetford, and they had a very memorable, famous conversation one night where they were very frustrated and, quite frankly, you could say, depressed. They were down and out that all the schooling they had learned, all the world's education at the time around psychiatry, psychology, and the healing of the so-called sickness of the mind was failing. They felt it's not working. We're crazier than ever. We're more out of our mind, which, by the way, if we're all honest, don't we all think the time that we're in is the craziest it's ever been? It's chaotic, right? Because it's our time. So it's the most chaotic we've ever seen. It's always chaotic. It's always nightmares and knife fights and psych wards and prisons and deaths and murders and just dressed up differently because of the human evolution. But at that time, this woman and her colleague, Beau Thetford, had a very well-known conversation where they both said to one another, there must be another way. There must be another way. And not long after that, she started having what she felt were like auditory hallucinations. She thought she was hearing voices, and she thought she was going crazy. She got tested by her colleagues, by professionals, and of course they all said, well, you're not crazy. We don't know what's going on. We believe you, but you're clearly functional and not needing to go to the psych ward. And she was known to be somebody who would journal and write or try to be open to something as somebody who was in the school of psychology and psychiatry. And she sat down at her writing desk and very clearly one day, heard, "This is A Course in Miracles. Prepare to take notes." She took out her pen and began to write. And what she found over the next 7.5 years is whenever she would sit down, the dictation would pick up right where it left off. It became very clear to those around her that she started to share what was happening with her colleague, Beau Thetford, and a small group of others, that the essence, personality that she was channeling was the man known as Jesus, Jeshua ben Joseph, Jesus. Now, I'm going to pause here because I just heard some people go, did he just say Jesus? I'm out. This is not, again, about converting you to any religion. The Course in Miracles is not a religion. For many people, including myself, the reason that she channeled Jesus and that Jesus chose her, a woman who worked in the field of psychiatry and psychology, and chose to speak in a language very much like the Bible was written, iambic pentameter, was because if it had come out all like, hey man, hippy dippy, don't take it so serious, people would have been like, this is a hoax. But I can assure you that anybody that opens the actual Course in Miracles and starts to read it even for a second will discern that there's no way an atheist Jewish woman in the 60s could have written this. There's no way. Just not possible. And they, of course, looked into the history of both these individuals deeply after this was released into the world, and everybody agreed, there's no way that this information, you couldn't even make it up. You could not make it up. And the Course in Miracles is believed to be channeled by Jesus, and that the purpose was to come back and recalibrate all of the unfortunate misinterpretations of his message 2,000 years ago. and quite frankly, the message of many misinterpreted spiritualities across the experience of the human dream. So the Course in Miracles is 800 to 900 pages, depending on what edited version you buy, of in-depth text that explains everything from miracles, sin, sexuality, behavior, ego, relationship, what it really means to live in holiness, to live in Christ, which does not mean a man named Jesus, who the man was the Son of God, the man, the physical form, the meat suit was the Christ, that Jesus was a man body whose soul, whose perception was totally healed. It was restored to the Christ consciousness, which is a shared consciousness. It's a one consciousness. It's all of us. Everyone on this planet are figments of the Christ, dreaming that there's something they're not, dreaming that they're a name with a nationality, with an identity, with some term, some political reference, dreaming that they are this. I am a black person in Africa for this nation. I am an American in this state who is a Republican, who is a Democrat, and I belong to this community, and my kid goes to this school, and I am this religion, and this is what I am. And we wrap ourselves up in layer after layer, name after name, and all of them pale in comparison. And the Course in Miracles was brought in to undo the illusions and the wrappings of false identification. And then after those texts, there's 365 daily lessons, mantras, practices, the first half of which are to undo the dualistic, what I would call dualistic, egoic, separate identity of the mythical me, as I learned in Nuke Sanchez's Take Me to Truth organization. The mythical me, the individual separate self, the identified mind that thinks it is cut off from everyone and everything, like we're a part of, but I'm still me. Like we're one, but I'm still separate. The part of us that tries to have its cake and eat it too. The reference of, well, I'm love, but I also hate. Well, I'm afraid, but I'm also infinite love. The Course in Miracles came about to recalibrate our minds and our perceptions to our true being. And I think all of us can remember that being. I think all of us can remember the moment when we were children. And maybe we were 6 months old or 1 year old or 18 months, but that moment where we were on a playground and we were just laughing in pure joy. We were just living in the moment. We had no concept before it was taught to us of past and future and right and wrong and good and bad. We were just present moment beings of love and play and joy. And our every moment experience was felt and lived in purity. And all we did was extend ourselves, right? We would just run and jump on anyone. We just love everybody. We just loved everything. It was only until we started developing a concept of self. This is yours, mine, me, my, right, wrong. Then you start to see, tantrums, right? When we're 18 months old and we're just scream crying, it's just because we don't know what's going on. Our soul was in pure joy, and all of a sudden we're in this insane experience called a human dualistic meat suit experience, and we're just like, we don't know. We just cry. We just scream. But there's no personal identity. There's no me. There's no name. There's no nationality. There's no past. Think about this. There's no past or future when you're a child. Do you think that you believed in something that might happen when you were 18 months old, when you were a year old? Do you think you thought about 4 days earlier when you were 18 months old? So if that's the nature of our being then, what, you think we develop memory? No, memory was there the moment we were born. Memory existed with us. But in that moment, it hadn't been conditioned into us what to remember. Don't forget. Do this. You have to finish this by then. Don't forget your past. Do you remember when so-and-so did this? Never let go of that. Never forget. Never forget. It's important. It's valuable. We just wanted to play and run in the sun. We just wanted to be expressions of joy and laughter. Don't you remember being a child and playing and like you being told like, it's time to come in, playtime's over? Do you remember that feeling? I know I do, where I was like, what are they talking about? Playtime's not over. I don't know what they're thinking. I'm going to play all day, every day. Play. And then we're like, well, no, you got to learn all these things that we made up called education. Here's the rules that we live by in the human experience. And so now you got to learn them. Playtime's over. And for me, playtime is not over. To me, my whole experience of releasing Lighten Up with Beau is to help others remember that playtime is far from over. Matter of fact, it's time to play again. And how we play is we got to look at some places we never looked before, in ways that we've never looked before. Because I believe we've been given truth over the years and we just choose not to look at it. And we don't get honest about why we don't want to look at it. People say we want freedom, but they're not really honest about, you can't really say you want freedom and then cling to the illusions of sensory pleasures and distractions. You can't have both. You cannot have love and fear simultaneously. You cannot have truth and illusion and weave them into the same picture. In order to have true playfulness and true lightness and true expression, we must give up illusions. We must give up the distractions of the world, the addictions of the world. And we got to start having honest conversations about how distracted we are and how much we love our distractions. And look, if you're somebody right now who's listening and going, yeah, you know what, buddy, my bottle of wine and my Netflix till 2 a.m., I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to give them up. Then I'm not your guy. Because there's plenty of smoke shows and goofballs and my brothers and sisters who I love dearly, who they're just, their choice right now is they love the Matrix, baby. They're all in. More money, clothes, cars, fast women, glitz and glamour, private jets, exclusive resort experiences. Yeah, great. You can have all that, baby. Right? It's like Cypher in the movie The Matrix, where he was like, okay, I want to come back and I want to be rich. I want to be famous. I want to be somebody important, like an actor. But you know what he said? He said, I don't want to remember nothing. Right? That was the caveat. He's like, yeah, I want all the illusions, but he's like, I need you to wipe my memory. Why? Because if he remembered that glimmer of purity, that glimmer of truth that had started to awaken, that he was like, it's too much. I want to go back to sleep. I don't want to remember that I chose to go back to sleep. And that's the honesty that we all don't. We choose our sleep. We choose our slumber. We choose our seductions. We choose our insanity. We choose our beliefs. We choose our chaos. Problem is, we just want to blame somebody else for it. We wonder why we can't lighten up, because we won't look inside and let go of the wrappings and misbeliefs and our rightness and our armor and all of our nonsense, and look and get honest about it with one another. Not about surface level, who you should marry, who you shouldn't marry, gay, straight, black, white, left, right. This isn't about talking about surface level issues. And I'm not trying to say, if you're listening to me right now, that those things aren't important, but who are they important really to? Who's the me, the I that it's important to? Why is it important? And I'm not saying that you can't feel that they're important, but it's about questioning where you develop this importance from. The Course in Miracles opens with nothing real, and real meaning at the absolute level, beyond duality, beyond right and wrong and good and bad. The minute something is measured, its purity is lost. We measure with grades, we measure with height, we measure with weight, we measure the weather, we measure everything and call it truth. Because if we didn't have something to measure, we'd feel insane. It would just feel like chaos. Maybe it would just feel real. Anyways, my point is, who is the you that's measuring your life? Who is the you that thinks it's all so important? And what I hope to do over the next episodes and things that I release is just gently point you in a direction of, I don't want to be another guy that you turn on and go, here's your 30-day plan to an optimal body. Here's your 2-week fast track to a more peaceful you. I'm not trying to sell spirituality or truth. And if that's what you're looking for, you're going to find it. There's plenty of videos on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all sorts of platforms that are telling you that they have the equation to your peace. And all I'm trying to do is invite a conversation, invite a presence, and invite you to look inward in places you may never had. I might ask you to answer a couple journal questions. I might ask you to check out read this, read that. I'm not going to ask you to follow a dogma or a spirituality or a plan, even though I'm going to quote A Course in Miracles a lot. As a matter of fact, I haven't decided. I may just go through A Course in Miracles, which could take, who knows, a year of doing videos, 2 years of doing videos. Because to me, I can tell you my opinion of the truth, but really I'd rather just read it to you and then tell you in my best simplified words what it's pointing to, so that I could invite words that might help unwrap the web of illusions that we all get conditioned to and explain what it means. That's my goal. My intention is to help you see that maybe the truth that you believe in isn't really true. And that points to letting go of the separation devices called bodies, called beliefs, called laws of the world, and to question them. Who would you be if you were not a Democrat or a Republican or white or black or they or them or gay or straight? Who would you be? How would you live if you weren't wrapped in the roles of the ego that I call the good child, the performer, the perfectionist, the victim, the controller, the judge, the chameleon, the rebel? If the person that you said you were, that you thought you were, wasn't you, who would you be? What would your life look like if you stopped blaming and judging and reacting to everything in the world and started to look inward at how all the things outside of you are reflections of your own mind, of your own spirit, and not in shame or blame or guilt, but in laughter and enjoy, and be like, oh my God, me too. You do that, I do that. You dress up the past and call it the truth, me too. Maybe I don't even know what love is, but maybe I hate less than I used to today. But I'm not going to run from the fact that in me, when I'm not living in truth, there is a rage, there is an energy that exists in me that I might say it in words and you might do it in behavior, but I'm no different than you. And maybe none of us know what love is, but maybe we can connect by speaking from our hearts and getting honest and just really getting into the nature of what's really going on in our mind and our heart. And then we can actually lighten up. And then we can meet on the pickleball court or the playground or at the park and laugh a little bit and live in joy. And our conversations be less about words and be more about the experience of laughter and joy with one another. You guys ever around people and they're talking and there's a part of you that goes, I have no idea what they're talking about. Maybe with me right now. Or maybe you're around somebody and you hear there's a vibration where you're like, there's something they're talking about that's hitting my heart. That's the kind of conversation I want. And that doesn't mean that if something's important to you, it's not important to me. I hear you. But to me, when there's a charge, when there's an energy like this matters. To me, the vibration of God, the vibration of infinite love and peace and joy is patient, it's kind, it's ease. Anything outside of the vibration of ease and peace and playfulness and pause, I think these are fear vibrations that are not really who we are. I think we learn them. And I think we can unlearn them together. So, maybe this week, whenever you're in reaction, when you feel not light, when everything feels heavy and stressful and I don't know, maybe there's a moment where you can pause and ask, what's going on right now? What character in me is reacting? What need is not getting met that the me I thought I was? Who am I right now? Who is this? What do I need? What peace? What would peace say here? What would peace do now? Thanks for tuning in to Lighten Up with Beau. Don't forget, it's not all that serious. It really isn't. What is serious is you remembering who you are beneath the storm of your life. And here's a little prayer I like to say. Holy Spirit, Father, Mother, God, help me forgive the part of my own mind that uses outer circumstances and situations, who uses them to choose getting caught up in them as a means to distract myself from the very peace and love that you would know and teach me that I am. Help me forgive the part of my mind that uses beliefs and the news and technology and ideas to keep myself distracted from the lessons of peace that are calling to me from my own heart. You are loved. You are not alone. You are light. Let's do this together. Lighten up. Lighten up. Remember who you are. Join me on this journey. It's going to be fun. I look forward to seeing you again where I start exploring the Course in Miracles from the beginning. And take care.